Hello good people, Emmanuel Sani Safali bringing you a very special episode of the Promise Insurance Show. And this time round, we've gone out. People have been complaining that I always talk alone. And this time round, I did some research. We came up with a partnership that UAP Old Mutual made with Post Bank to reach out and make some kind of financial wellness talk for their customers out there and also engage them. This happened in 2022, November, and we're going to break it down for you into 4 episodes so that you follow the discussion, because it was quite wide. The population gave us, or the clients gave us their feedback, some gave their testimonials, and that's what we're going to listen into. Please take some time and listen into this, and let's share the feedback at the end of the channel, of the episode. Thank you.
And we want to go straight into our financial wellness class. How beautiful it is to have it at a time when everyone's answer, when you get to ask them, what's wrong, you're lost or something, they will say economy. That's the new default answer for each and everyone. And we're talking about monies. Of course, the biggest story for the media in the last few hours has been about Uganda. You know, the government of Uganda getting to borrow from within. Then comes in the discussion of, aren't we out competing the private sector? But there is a lot to talk about money. Today, we want to talk about your financial well-being. You have the doctors talking about, your health and lifestyle. You have the pastors talking about your spiritual well-being. But we want to bring the people who speak the language that even the little child at home understands, especially if they have a piggy bank. We're talking investments, we're talking insurance. Insurance being one of the things that everyone is excited to talk about, but a few people are happy to uptake. You know, we all want to know that at some point in time when things are not going right, you can be able to have a fallback position. But unfortunately, sometimes you never take that leap of faith or the action point to be able to actualize that. So we're going to be talking about, I know many of you have had bank assurance, and you're asking, seems to be quite a big word, but we'll get to understand that it's just a joiner of bank and insurance. And now seeing banks, which we used to know as, go take your money, keep it there, find a loan, and probably be able to withdraw. Banks now getting to spread their wings to provide a little much more than you taking your money for them to keep it, or you getting a loan from them, and then at a later stage having that kind of relationship. With a digital era, with, the world now becoming a global village, there is a lot of solutions that you can be able to get, and especially, of course, digital and financial solutions as well. And when we talk about the aspect of insurance, one would ask that, is it anywhere in the law? Is it being supported by the law? Definitely in 2016, if you do remember, the Financial Institutions Amendment Act did provide for the introduction of bank assurance in Uganda, which I talked about much earlier on. So if you go to your bank and you're being introduced to a bit of insurance talk, do not get perplexed about what is happening in the bank. That's being able to give you a lot more than you would probably be able to expect. So we'll be delving deeper into that. We know that banks probably can be able to provide insurance of various, so many other insurance sector players, or one bank could decide to say, no, I'm sticking to, insurance company X, Y, or Z because of these particular reasons. And they will be able to give you all those aspects. And it is also cost friendly. You don't need to set up so many branches. There is the branch of the bank, then the branch of the insurance company. No, you get to use the same space, but be able to get a lot more. That is the bigger point of our discussion, but also investment. In this time of the economy, and also going out of lockdown. I love to say we are post-lockdown, not post-COVID, because COVID is still here and now we are having Ebola coming through. These are the times that you get to think about investment. The people working in the corporate sector love to talk about side hustling. Is that side hustle getting you the very best of life? That's a discussion that we're going to be getting to. I want to say a special thank you to UAP Old Mutual and Post Bank for ensuring that this comes through. The Bank of Uganda, the Uganda Insurers Association, of course. We can't be able to forget about you. to thank you for bringing this in. And for those who are coming to us live on our different socials, but also on the live broadcast and stream, we want to welcome you. But in case you are tweeting and talking about this, get to use the two hashtags. One is hashtag Get Empowered, and the other one is hashtag Tutambulefe. Now let's walk together. I mean, for our colleagues who may not understand what Tutambulefe means, let's walk together in this conversation. And in no particular order, I'd like to introduce to you some of our speakers this evening. I know that you've seen a bit of their profiles on social media, but I'll have to flash them out. I normally love to say, ladies first unless there is danger. But since there is no danger today or this evening, I will definitely start with my namesake also and change title. So probably that title you've been seeing on social media is entirely changed. That's the world, yeah. In just a blink of an eye, titles get to change. And now Gloria Tuhaise is the Director of Administration, Bank of Uganda, and she as well previously served as the Principal Internal Auditor at the Bank of Uganda from 2011 to 2013, as Business Analyst at the East African Development Bank, that was 2008 to 2011. She also served as an Internal Auditor at the Bank of Uganda from 2004 to 2008, IFMS Accountant at the Ministry of Finance Planning and Economic Development, that's 2002 to 2004, Teaching Assistant at Makerere University. I love to say that some of these people have huge CVs that you will have to create a song and have a chorus and everything. So I'll stop it at that and allow Tuhaise, I almost said Mildred because I said my namesake. Tuhaise, just say hello to our viewers and we will go to our next speaker.
Hello, our viewers, and I'm glad to be here.
And I'm saying viewers particularly because I know that most of you are joining us online. In no particular order still, I will go to Mr. Tony Mudola, who is the Acting Managing Director, UAP Old Mutual. And Tony Mudola, of course, boasts of an illustrious career in insurance and finance, having worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers as an insurance senior, at Britam Insurance Company, Uganda, as a financial accountant, and at Liberty General Insurance, Uganda, as head of finance, and he's currently serving as the Chief Finance Officer and Acting Managing Director at UAP Old Mutual Life Assurance. And UAP, of course, making this possible today. Mr. Tony Mudola, you can say hello to us all.
Hello, our viewers. We are pleased to be here and glad to have you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We can't wait to hear about matters, money and insurance and bank assurance. Another person who you've probably seen on your TVs quite more often as well sometimes is John Chisacha. I said in no particular order. He is the CEO Uganda Insurers Association, and he's an experienced insurer with a demonstrated history of working in the short-term and long-term insurance markets, and skilled in insurance consultancy, training, bank assurance, marketing, business development, and management. And the CV is as huge as I can continue to speak about, but I'll stop right there, John, and say hello to us. And later on, you'll be letting us know whether you Ugandans, yourself and myself, are taking up insurance. So we're just excited to clap.
Okay, thank you so much, Mildred. Good evening to our viewers and those present here. I don't know where you got that information from. It doesn't sound like me at all. But we'll take it and I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, glad to have you as well. He definitely knows that's him and much more probably that we didn't say. But in no particular order, still allow me introduce to you Mr. Julius Kaketo, who is the Managing Director and CEO Post Bank Uganda, that have also made this possible today. He has a wealth of experience in banking, spanning over 20 years in Uganda and the United Kingdom. When we talk about sticking and understanding a particular profession, many of us young people love to hop from one job to another. But Mr. Kaketo has also been instrumental in transforming Post Bank into a fully fledged commercial bank, driving financial inclusion. And he's also a member of ICPAO, a fellow of SCCA, and also an alumnus of Manchester Business School, where he obtained his MBA. And I've told you, the CVs are huge. I'll just give you a sneak peek and allow Mr. Kaketo to say hello to us.
Hello, viewers and listeners as well, and everyone here present. Good evening.
Good evening to you. Thank you for coming through. We do have Mr. Samuel Sejaka. He loved that corner, particularly where he's seated, the extreme. I don't know why, but he will let us know. He's a board member of UAP Old Mutual, and he is a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants and a Certified Public Accountant of Uganda. He also holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Accounting and Finance from Makerere University, a Master's of Science in Financial Studies from the university, and a Bachelor of Commerce and a postgraduate diploma in computer science from Makerere University. So many papers. You look at him and you just see a lot of papers. He's looked at whiteboards and blackboards and so many. Mr. Sejaka, say hello to us.
Thank you very much, Mildred. Good evening, viewers, those watching and those listening. I'm happy to be here, and I hope I'll make a contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. And since we are in the golfing month, he is actually a very, very good golfer and the current chairman of the Uganda Professional Golfers Association. I should have said that much earlier on. They say work without play. You can complete the statement for yourselves. Last but in no case the least, allow me to introduce to you Mr. Andrew Kabera, who is the Executive Director, Post Bank Uganda. I want to say to Haise, strategically sat wherever she is. But Andrew is the Executive Director and Chief Digital and Financial Services Officer at Post Bank Uganda. And he is also a seasoned banker with over 12 years experience in banking, doing credit risk analysis. That's very, very key, because sometimes some of us want to get the money, but payment becomes the hardest bit of it, and forgetting that this money does not belong to the bank, it belongs to other depositors as well. He is also, he started his banking career at Standard Chartered Bank before moving to DFCU Bank, where he was the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Change and Innovation Officer. A huge CV as well, but just allow me have Mr. Andrew Kabera speak to us and say hello to us before we get to start.
Good evening, viewers and listeners. I'm happy to be here, and thanks, moderator.
Thank you so much. And once again, for those who just joined us, my name is Mildred Tohaise. I am a journalist. I love to call myself a farmer as well, because I think that's more prestigious at some point in time, because we eat every day at whatever cost. And I'm glad to be your host today. I will be taking this on. Like I said, if you're joining us on social media and you want to continue with the conversation on the various spaces, use the hashtag #GetEmpowered and hashtag #Tutambulefena. Do not forget to tag in Bank of Uganda, Uganda Insurers Association, Post Bank Uganda, and UAP Old Mutual. We'll start off with a financial wellness class. I love the catchphrase, financial wellness, because today, at whatever cost you spend something, our expenditures may be totally different. Someone's expenditure for a month may be someone's pocket change today, but that's a non-starter. Let's go into the details of what we'll be talking about. And I want to start off with Professor Samuel. Especially on your minds, on your take on the attitude of Ugandans towards investment, because we've always been told Uganda is one of the most entrepreneurial countries. But unfortunately, also on the flip side of it, many of these businesses never get to see their first birthday. So are we really investors? Are we into investment? Or it's a totally different discussion of we just want to try out things?
Thank you very much, Mildred. First of all, I don't know how we can debunk this problem of Uganda being very entrepreneurial. It's something that happened a while ago while I was also still working in the university. And there was something called the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, which did a survey. In research, you look at issues of validity, and we were wondering whether this was really valid. But it included the mamambogas and all these other people who have no alternative source of employment. And all of those are the ones we called entrepreneurs. So I don't know if it is correct to say we are the most entrepreneurial country, because if we were the most entrepreneurial countries, one of the most entrepreneurial countries, we would be in a better position than we are. I mean, we have been debating whether we are lower middle class or whatever, and those kinds of things, which wouldn't be debating if we were entrepreneurial. Even when you look in the region, you will see that some of our neighbors do a better job being entrepreneurs than us. And there's practical evidence to that. But more to the question and what we want to talk about, I don't know if this problem really starts with our education systems, but I am only now talking now that I have 2020 vision. And I find that a lot of the knowledge I use to survive today didn't come from school. So when you start, for instance, talking about mindset, what I get to understand is we were taught to be employed rather than to do things for ourselves. So in terms of how we were taught to go and work and get paid and spend that money. But then also culturally, we seem to have developed over time a very short-term view of money. And we think you can make money in the very short term. But it takes a long, long time to make money. And really, if you look at Uganda, if you find a company which is 30 years old, that company has been going for a long time. But when you look worldwide, you'll see companies have been around for 200 years, 150 years, and they're still going strong. So that is the first problem. How can we, if we're entrepreneurial, create a legacy and pass it on to the next generation and the next generation so that we create intergenerational wealth? So the first problem I think we have, all of us, is we have a short-term view of things. Now, if you turn that to savings, you will realize that not many of us think of saving until we are maybe about 40 or near retirement. Then you say, hey, I need to save.
We normally say we don't have enough to save.
Or we don't have enough to save. But in other societies, that culture is really embedded. People get a mortgage as soon as they get a job. And it is very clear, should I pay rent or pay a mortgage? So I think this is one of the issues we have. On the other hand, we also have very limited asset classes in which we are investing ourselves. Most of us, when we make money, I think I was a victim of this very many years ago. When I made my first money, the first thing I thought of was brick and mortar. So all of us are victims of brick and mortar. And is it the best investment? Maybe at the beginning you need to get some security, but it is not the only asset class that we should be investing in. So we seem to have a limited view of the opportunities that are available. So there are things like equities, there are things like treasury bills, bonds, and other capital instruments in which one can be investing. But I don't know how many of us are investing in them. There are things like taking out the insurance policies you referred to, and making sure that you have managed your risk and so forth. All those things seem to be outside the ambit of the financial wellness we are talking about. But it all starts with the kind of education we received. When we were in school, would anybody tell us that you are going to be here for the next 40 years and this is how you should look at money? So I guess that is the mindset, how we have been brought up, how we have been tutored, and how we have been educated. So I guess part of this financial wellness is how can we catch the young ones early? How can we change the whole conversation on financial literacy so that people begin early to understand the importance of saving? People begin early to understand that you can inflation-proof those savings, and also make sure that at one point that 9 to 5 job is going to end. And when you walk off into the sunset, there will be something.
All right, thank you. I'll be getting back to you. I think you've just nailed it, especially when you start off from the education system. whereby you have 7 years primary, 6 years secondary, then you go to university and then start looking for a job at the end of the day. And then I totally agree with you. I remember during the lockdown when people had private cars were allowed, and those who had their small plots of land, depending on mindset, people were saying, okay, we asked you to buy cars, you said you wanted to buy land, so let your land take you to wherever you want to go to. But you mentioned the aspect of insurance, which I actually want Jonan to come in on. Insurance seems to be a new phenomenon to many Ugandans. Number one, many think insurance, what if I insure and then I don't get to use the money? I have health insurance and I don't fall sick. What happens? There are so many what ifs. What's been the perception of insurance from the Ugandans' point of view, and what's the uptake? Are we still looking at it as the what if case scenario, or there is a change? And what actually needs to be done to better, deepen the understanding of insurance in Uganda's context?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mildred. I just wanted, before I go to responding to the question you've asked me, I wanted to supplement on what the professor mentioned. I think Ugandans, to a large extent, we work best when we are compelled. And for me, I will tell you that from the little experience that I have, if we can combine the good things of insurance with the aspects of how we can be able to compel and police Ugandans, we'll see a bit of a response. I have interfaced with a number of people who took a policy of insurance through bank assurance, for example, and were able to claim and get compensated. But because the loan required them insuring the asset or the security, it worked well when the benefit of insurance came through. So for me, I thought that maybe I would mention that. How do we combine these two issues? If you look at how, for example, MTP is performing, motor third party, amazing figures. We are doing over $1 billion in just stamp duty alone every month. But this is out of comparing. But at the end of the day, when the benefit comes, then it makes sense to the Ugandan. But also the other thing is certainty. I think Ugandans, to a great extent, are not sure of tomorrow. And maybe that is part of the training. We operate in an environment where we focus so much on today, because the feeling is that I am not sure of tomorrow. But also the family setup. If you look at the family setup that many of us grow up around, there is that aspect of harambe. So people feel that when disaster strikes, there is no need for me to save, there is no need for me to invest. After all, I can call upon XYZ from my family to come together. But then quickly going into the question you asked me. We have a challenge also when it comes to perception in terms of insurance. Many Ugandans feel or think that insurance is for high-income earners. So they feel that it is for those that have a bit of disposable income. But if you ask my neighbor here, Tony, I am sure UAP Old Mutual has revolved and now come up with products that are affordable, very, very affordable premiums, up to even about 50,000 in partnership with Post Bank, I'm sure. So if we are able to share this kind of information, that insurance is for everyone, because uncertainty and risks are faced by everyone. Sure. Whether you're rich or poor, a calamity can befall you, but do you have a fallback position? I also wanted to mention that there is also that issue that you highlighted. The relationship between the premium I pay and at the point at which I claim, or at the point at which I don't claim, what happens to my premium? Yeah. It's a very big challenge. Sure. And the majority of the population needs to understand, and I must applaud UAP and Post Bank for these kind of initiatives. They must understand that we as insurers, we carry a risk. That risk has a price attached to it. That should disaster strike, we will not go back on our word and say, please, you paid us a premium, it's not commensurate to the risk, please give us extra premium. So we need to push that to the masses for them to understand. But I'll also tell you that despite the challenges that we are facing currently as an industry, if you, not only insurance, but the challenges of the economy being battered by both internal and external factors, if you look at our performance, insurance has proved to be resilient. And for me, I want to emphasize this so that I can give confidence to the listener, give confidence to the viewer that actually insurance works. Because if you look at the years even through COVID, and I know you mentioned we are post-lockdown, we don't mention COVID anymore. But if you look at our performance, just today I was looking at our Q3 numbers, Q3 numbers, we are going into Q4. I noticed that we have already written 1 trillion shillings in premium. If you compare that to 2021 Q3, what about 800 billion? That alone is an improvement or a growth of about 21%. If you look at Q2, we were at about 18.5%. We are now at 21%. If you look at the life side, growing at about 25%, non-life growing at about 19%, insurance is growing. People are gaining a bit of confidence in the product of insurance because we've proved resilient. Having a double-digit growth rate in these circumstances, I don't think is a mean achievement. But it also goes to show the confidence that the public is continuously now putting in insurance. So I again, I would want to urge those listening and those watching and tell them that insurance actually works. If you look at the numbers I've given you and you flip it on the side of claims, more than 50% of those premiums we collected are paid back as claims. But remember, those are just claims. If you add the other expenses, indeed, we're not just simply in a business of collecting to profit as insurers, but we pay claims. And unfortunately, those that we pay at times do not want to be exposed. But those that, for any reason, are not paid on time or for any reason whatsoever, and Stephen there will tell you, will make the most noise. So insurance works.
They say it takes forever to pay.
Those are the very few cases, but they will make more noise than now with the advent of social media. If you look at the claims we settled during COVID alone, Tony here will tell you, and the impact we had, that is reflective of the growth that we are seeing today. Thank you.
All right, John, and I'll be coming back to you. That's pretty interesting, yes. And since you mentioned actually the idea of that some people are actually getting bank assurance because probably their loan requires that probably this asset needs to be insured. And when they get the benefit of it, that's when we get to club. But at first you're like, anyway, because I want the money, because I want this, you get to sign. Anthony, that is why I want to come through. Looking at the partnership between UAP Old Mutual and Postbank on bank assurance, what could have, culminated into this sort of partnership? What brought this partnership to life, actually?
Thank you very much, Mildred. Again, to our viewers and listeners, good evening. Mildred, I think allow me to just start from where Jonan has just left it and Professor. The biggest challenge we saw, so for example, last year, insurance companies, especially life, paid out about 560 billion in terms of claims, people taking money. Contrary to that, we did about 397 billion in revenues. That is just life alone. So it just simply means that we paid out much more than what we actually got in terms of revenues. So when Jonan speaks about risk, just to give confidence to the viewers and listeners, it is a real problem for the insurance companies. For UAP Old Mutual Life, in that case, we paid out 57 billion in claims and got 54 billion in revenue. So still, we paid out more than what we actually got in terms of revenues. So then comes a question of how do you diversify this risk? How do you get strategic partnerships on board? How do you onboard those particular strategic partnerships? In the same context, financial sector depending did a study and noted that 57% of the people, when COVID came, were not able to live past the first one day based on their lifestyles, 57% for that sample. Of the remaining 43%, 81% couldn't live beyond 15 days on their own lifestyle. So then we are dealing with a massive problem of financial literacy and inclusion. So then the key ask here is, if you're looking out for a partner, then who do you choose and who do you partner with? So if you look at Postbank Uganda and where they've come from and what they stand for, if you look at their ambition, they are standing to be a pace setter in terms of financial inclusion and transformation of lives and livelihoods. For us, as UAP Old Mutual, we are looking out to say, okay, we should be our trusted partners for clients, for our customers, just driving that value in terms of financial ability. So on the side of Postbank, as a strategic partner, one, they have very good national coverage, and this point has actually been talked about. You mentioned rightly that it's no point actually setting up another office where Postbank has a branch. It doesn't make sense at all. IRA, our regulator, gave us the regulations in 2017 for bank assurance to allow banks be able to write some of these policies. And that has enabled us to at least get into such partnerships. But secondly as well, we have aligned goals and visions. So they want to pace set economic transformation. We are exactly on the same agenda. Only that the fact that insurance has been looked at differently in the past, as Jonan has said, we needed to come together as partners. How do we partner with you? Not just in terms of geographical spread, but even other items of how do we distribute? How do we leverage on your platforms? How do we leverage on the competences of the insurers to be able to sell? Then at the end of the day, if I'm a client of Postbank, I'm looking for a place which is very easy, one-stop shop, complete everything that I need, and go out. Not to say tomorrow I'll walk into UAP Old Mutual, then tomorrow I'll open an account with Postbank. So open an account with Postbank, have these particular solutions introduced to you, take them up, and then have your way out and secure your future at once. So for us, we thought that is the best way to do it in terms of bank assurance, and very happy with the strategic partnership with Postbank Uganda. Yeah.
All right, Tony, just before you, I let you go. Yeah. The market is saturated right now that we're talking about insurance. It then was a new phenomenon. Now people are picking it up with the resilience that was being talked about earlier on by Jonan. With a saturated market, there is choice, you understand? And sometimes people are lost for choice. You don't even know what should I base on to choose which insurance partner. And one would ask, why would I trust UAP Old Mutual out of the very saturated market to be my insurance partner?
Thanks, Mildred. We can look at saturation in different ways. If I look at in terms of insurance penetration, we are talking of just 0.8% of this population in Uganda being insured. Now, that's a very small penetration of insurance. And then when we look at it the other way in which you're describing it in terms of saturation of the market, so within urban areas, you seem to notice as though really everyone is insured, which is not the case. So the market is still quite virgin, if I should put it that way. Very, very virgin for insurance in Uganda. The key issue we've had is what again, back to Jonan and Professor are saying, how well are the masses educated about insurance products? What is the attitude towards insurance? Now, for UAP Old Mutual, we are combining two brands in this particular company. One, Old Mutual, which is a brand that has been around for 175 years. And again, Professor said, if a company has been around 30 years also, you're sure you probably trust them more. UAP, on the other hand, made 100 years in 2020. So that's again a solid background. So we are on a journey to rebrand fully to Old Mutual, but what the takeaway from here is that this is a combined experience of over 270 years in terms of insurance. That said as well, it's a one-stop shop, even as we established in Uganda. So some of my colleagues who are here, so for example, Mr. Stephen Chikovore, He heads the general business arm. So general business is more property, your houses, your group personal accident and the likes. Then we have the financial services arm, which will best majorly in terms of fund management. Then there's life, which I'm representing today, which is basically life, really. And lastly, the property. So you have this group which then can be able to offer you more or less a one-stop shop, with the exception that if you look at what we've described, banking is missing. And that's where now the key question comes in. How do we go into strategic partnerships? So we stand core to our values as UAP Old Mutual, but most importantly is that if we are to be able to trust that a particular brand is to deliver, then you should be able to question them in terms of client service, which we should be able to deliver and have delivered and testify to that. But also stand the test of time in terms of how do you enable financial inclusion, which UAP Old Mutual has done quite well. Thanks.
All right, we'll come back from that panel discussion. You have heard from the bankers how important they take insurance seriously for their customers. Remember, there are two areas they look at for the property that you're using as collateral. They have to see it insured, but also they can insure the loan that can be taken out. And we discussed that some time back. We have also heard now from the insurers who are talking about how soon, how quick they pay the claims. UAP has told this story and is not scared of telling it to the public out there so that people can improve on the trust levels of the insurance industry as a whole. But with the case in point, we have seen UAP and possibly they're going to be reaching out more. Please tune in next week, next Sunday, for another episode on the same discussion. As you have seen, it was quite long. We're going to break it down into 2-3 other episodes so that you understand and appreciate the kind of engagement that we are setting this year round. I thank you. I am Emmanuel Sani Safali, reminding you to hope for the best while preparing for the worst. Thank you.